Mr. Chair, we are now live.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Inuit, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Brent McIntyre, and I'll be chairing the meeting this morning. And zooming in is Gail Anderson and Adelia Deloro. Our assessor for this hearing is Roddy Pontanillo, and our administrative assistant is Elizabeth Donison. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along in the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for a revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. Statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 1 to 6 on our docket today. Ms. Donison, please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Rodrigo Pontanilla.
Do you affirm the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Applicant, would you please stand? Please state your full name.
Jennifer Ann Cairns.
Do you affirm the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Right.
Oh, well, sorry. You may be-
Sorry. Let me know.
What happened to this? This one? Oh, yeah. There it is. Sorry, I apologize. I normally Zoom from home. The first property on the docket is 485 St. Mary's Road. And I understand there is a preliminary issue on this, Mr. Assessor.
Yes, there is.
So if you want to read in the details of the property, and then we'll deal with the other issue.
Okay, sounds good. I'll begin now. So the first file we have on the docket is file 26-402. The roll number is 0800-019-8000. The address is 485 St. Mary's Road. The 2027 assessment has gone out with 2 components as this is a commercial mixed-use property. So for the commercial portion, we do have an assessed value of $338,000. And for the residential portion, we have an assessed value of $540,000 for a total assessed value of $878,000. So just quick highlight on property description, two buildings, there's two premises associated. It's a two-story building. We have an actual year built of 1915 with an effective year built of 1934. For land area, we have 6,730 square feet. And for leasable area, we have 1,735 square feet. And as previously mentioned, there is a preliminary issue in regards to the non-cooperation for receiving of income and expense mailer. So if I can direct your attention to page, I believe it's page 15 of my brief is where it begins. I'll give you guys a minute to get there. And so these documents that I'm sharing with you, they are reprints that show the original document that was sent to the property owner. And so you can see the name of the property owner there, the address that we sent it to, and then it's just the reprint of the request for income and expense information. And that's everything I have in regards to that.
Thank you very much. And the applicant, do you have any comment about that?
So I did appear here October 7th, 2024 in the same room. And I did state that the city of Winnipeg told me no one is allowed to live in this building. So on July.
That's evidence.
Okay.
And that's from a previous hearing?
Okay, but at that point, the city of Winnipeg had it on record that I promised to not use the residential property and not have any renters or tenants or leasers, however you may call that. So that is on record with the city of Winnipeg, that there are no renters, tenants, or leasers in this building, and the residential component of the building may not be occupied.
Okay, having said that, we will go in camera, so I ask everybody to leave the meeting room and we'll make a decision.
I have to leave too? Oh. So, you know, I'm just clarifying that I believe a computer spit out this 878,000 figure. But,
Well, you're giving
Okay.
evidence and we're not there yet.
okay,
I will take us in camera. Mr. Chair, we are live.
Thank you very much. Looking for the assessment.
I'm back.
You're back. Thank you very much. We have considered your request for non-cooperation and will not grant it for this property. You have another issue about late evidence.
Okay, you're referring to the evidence that was submitted to us after the fact?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure if there's an action that's on my part that's supposed to be taken on that, or if that's at the discretion of the panel to decide whether or not to accept the evidence.
Well, we don't have the evidence before us because it was late.
Oh, I see. Are you asking me a question, Brent, or I'm not really sure what
Yeah.
we're waiting on right now?
Did you receive the evidence late?
I did. Yep.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you very much. We'll go in camera now for the late evidence issue. And you can speak to it now.
yes, I believe I sent it 4 or 5 days late, not recognizing the date.
Okay.
So I verbally can read the figures that were given, the expenses for the property. I can verbally read those, and that could be my evidence, verbal
Yes.
statement.
Well, we'll have to go in camera again, sorry. You'll have to leave the room.
Oh, you know, so it is less than 10 figures that I can verbally
Yeah.
state. And once again, that particular piece of paper did say, no tenants, no leasers on it. So I'm supposed to leave.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will take us offline, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we are now online.
Thank you very much. We'll reconvene the hearing and to all parties concerned, we'll reject the late evidence, but you can speak to it personally. And we'll proceed with the hearing. Now we'll go back to the assessor and he can make his presentation.
I'm back. Oh, I might have missed the first little bit of that, but that's okay. All right, was it accepted, I guess, or?
No, we've rejected the.
Oh, I see.
evidence,
Okay.
But she can speak to it verbally.
Yep, I understand.
Okay,
Okay, so am I okay to proceed with my presentation?
yes, please do.
Okay, thanks. So if we return back to my brief, if we go to page 2, you'll see that I have included some pictures of the subject property. So the first picture I have is the pad eye view image of the subject property that shows the layout of the parcel. And the second image I've included is the pictometry overhead image of the subject property. From there, I have included a south-facing view and a west-facing view of the subject property. And then following that is the Google Street View images of the subject property. And I believe that's using the 2024 map overlay. We have not received requests for income and expense information, so that's why we have that there for that section. We do have one sale on the subject. This is going back to 2011 for $225,000. And we have no leases for the subject property. For the rent comparables that I used are all from within the same market region as the subject property. So they're from market region 1, and they are commercial retail stores. And they're all under 3,000 square feet. So I have a range from 723 square feet to 957 square feet. We have the lease starts range from 2018 to 2024. And then we do have the rents that range from $13 more or less up to $24.65 at the higher one. And then from there for the residential portion, I have included 5 comparables that are comparable, that are from within the subject's market region as well. And all of these are used as residential units. And we can see that the units have a range that they receive in rent received from $860 at the lower end to $1,249 at the higher end. And having said that, beginning on our income stream, we do have the multifamily component first. So we do have the apartment or the residential component. So we do have it currently listed on record as 4 suites, 1 one-bedroom suite and 3 two-bedroom suites. And then we do have it at $929.09 per unit. And then from there, we do have the model parameters of the vacancy that's applied and the expense rate that's applied. That brings us to a net operating income of $20,531. And then from there, we have a modeled cap rate of 3.8%, which brings us to our total assessed value of $540,000 for the residential component. Moving on to the retail component, we do have 1 premise on the income stream, C2, 1,735 square feet, and we have that at a modeled rate of $13.33 per square foot. This brings us to a total potential rent of $23,128. And then from there, we go into the income stream with a 5% vacancy loss, 3% expense rate, and an $8 shortfall per square foot to bring us to our net operating income of $20,619. And then from there, we have a modeled cap rate of 6.1%, which brings us to our total assessed value for the commercial component of $338,000. So as previously mentioned, the following page just has the income value summary of both streams together, which brings us to our total assessed value of $878,000. That would be $540,000 for the residential stream and $338,000 for the commercial stream. Following that, I do have a table showing our cap rates for the 2027 assessed year or assessment cycle. We do have the reference date of April 1st, 2025. And so we can see that we do have a list of caps provided showing a range of the 20th and 80th percentile. For the city of Winnipeg retail, the closest that we would have comparable would be strip malls for the different property types that we have listed. And so we can see that for strip mall, we have the 20th and 80th percentile is 5.35% to 6.5% for the cap rate spread. And then from there, we can see the outside cap rates provided as well for their 20th and 80th percentiles with Colliers, CBRE, and Cushman and Wakefield. From there, I do have some pertinent information in regards to the assessment process under the Municipal Assessment Act excerpts. And then following that is the reprint of the 2024 income and expense mailer information that was requested. And that takes me to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Applicant, do you have any questions of the assessor?
No.
No questions? And Ms. Stevens, or Ms. Anderson, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Thank you. The building was built in 1915 with an effective year built of 1934. That's on your page 1. I'm just wondering how that is adjusted. Like what was that based on with the effective year?
So this would have been what we have on record. So it wasn't me per se that put the effective year on there. What I can say is that usually when these get adjusted, they would be in relation to some work that might have been done over the years on the building. Usually through permit information, we can take a look at some of the work that was done, and then from there, an adjustment can be made to the effective year, sort of bringing up the overall age of the building. If you want to look at it like that, if a building has, let's say, more or less 80 years of use, and then if you upgrade the building, you can then sort of reset that effective use artificially so that it's then has a longer lifespan as use for a building. So that's how that would have been put on there.
Okay. So how does that relate then to on page 12 where you have indicated the cap rate
Yep.
being 8% for the commercial stream, the retail stream?
Yep.
How is that reflected in the cap rate? Like this building is over 100 years old. The effective date is nearly 100 years. So I'm just wondering how that is reflected in the cap rate.
Right. Well, the cap rate is something that is an indicator that is used that is taken from a variety of sources within our model. So it is primarily taken from sales. The most recent would be sales of similar property types. And then from there, you take the net operating income, and then from there you can calculate the cap rate. It's difficult to say with this particular property because it is modeled cap rates, so there have been no adjustments. This is just something that the model had predicted as it would be an acceptable cap rate for the property type. Certainly the effective year built does go into it, like a newer building would have a lower cap rate because it is a newer building, so there's more value into the building, the way it's looked at as an investment vehicle. So from that perspective, it would be a lower cap rate just simply due to that factor. 6.1 for this particular cap. I noticed you mentioned 8%. I'm not really sure where you got that from.
Oh, sorry. I looked at
6.1% is the cap rate that's applied
Yeah.
for the commercial portion.
yeah, on page 11, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that cap does fall within the range of the 20th and 80th percentiles. And so from my perspective, it didn't seem like it was necessarily off for the property type. So that's why no adjustments are made to it.
Okay, so So I was thinking it would be at the higher range of a cap rate, right?
Right.
So the range you said is 5.35 to 6.50, and so it's 6.1. Okay.
Yeah, and that's just a modeled cap rate. Again, there's no adjustments done to that. It was just done by our mass appraisal model.
Yeah. Okay. And another question that I had was, has this building been inspected? Has the property been inspected?
So that's a good question. I noticed that the homeowner was speaking about the residential component. I didn't know that. I didn't have that background information on it. In my review, it didn't get flagged to me at the time that that was an issue. With that being said, when we went on the break, I did do some quick researching of our records, and I took a little bit of a deeper dive into our records to see, and it looks like there was maybe an inspection. I haven't inspected it myself, other than the information that I did preparing to put the brief together to submit it to the board. But with that being said, I spoke to one of my colleagues who I guess handled the appeal last cycle as to what the property owner was explaining about how they use the residential component for storage. And I was able to confirm with him that he did confirm that it is used as a storage capacity. So we are going to have to change some of our records that we have here to reflect that current use. So that's all I can say in regards to the most recent inspection.
Okay. Yeah. And that's in relation to the residential portion.
To the residential portion, yeah, correct.
Yeah, that your colleague indicated that it was used for storage.
From my understanding, yeah. That is what it does look like. The notes, what he said to me indicates.
Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Oh,
Those
I do have a little more that it was, I guess there was some difficulties arranging an inspection. So I guess from what I'm understanding here, that a request was made to inspect the property, and that for whatever reason it wasn't able to come to fruition, and that's why none of the records were adjusted up. That brings us now to this current reassessment cycle.
Okay. Okay, thanks so much. Thank you very much for your presentation. Those are all my questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Delory.
Just one comment. So if you are aware now that the residential portion is used as storage, would you consider any adjustment then should be made to your
Well,
in terms of value?
Yep. So definitely there would be an impact on the overall assessed value if that were to be the case. But as my colleague has informed me that there was an attempt to have an inspection, and that the attempt hadn't gone through. So when we make adjustments like that to the income record, we really need to confirm it through an actual inspection, pictures. We need to sort of confirm that the property is being used as, or that the residential component is being used as storage. But if that can be confirmed, then yes, there would be an impact on the assessed value.
And you don't have any way of quantifying, like what would you then suggest?
Not at the moment, because what we would have to do is we'd have to redo the records to reflect that the second floor is being used as a storage component. And so for that to be done, we would have to make adjustments to our income stream and then properly capture what the total area is on the second floor. If you'll notice, when we do residential valuation, we use it as a monthly unit suite rental rate. And then from there, we can calculate an overall assessed value. For a storage, it's going to be calculated similar to a retail component. So there is going to be a question of the actual total second floor area that's being used in storage. And then that whole square footage then has to have a rental rate that's applied to it. It would be a nominal rental rate, so it would be a storage rental rate, probably in the single digit if I had to take an educated guess at the moment. But I can't really know much beyond that. I'd have to make the adjustments to the record to see.
Okay, thank you. Those were all my questions.
You're welcome.
Thank you, and my questions have been asked and answered. And Ms. Cairns, you can make your verbal presentation.
Okay, I'm just gonna continue on with what he was saying about inspectors. So I was just quickly trying to find the business cards, because I believed I had taken the picture of 3 business cards of 3 men who came to 485 St. Mary's Road in the year 2025. So one of them was a building inspector who issues permits. And Matthew Gray-Trex is one of the names, I believe, Greatrex. And he's in charge of inspecting new work that's being done. And one person was an electrician. So 3 City of Winnipeg employees were 100% at 485 St. Mary's Road in the year 2025 with me and had a complete tour of every single room. And I believe it was Matthew who for sure took photographs. So, you know, maybe after, if we have a recess, I can give you the other 2 names. But what I'm saying is they definitely have been in the building. And it was July 1st, 2022, when it was a City of Winnipeg department who said, because this building does not meet the safety bylaw number 4304-86, you may not have renters in here. And I agreed. And so it was July 1st, 2022. I might have said 2023 by accident before, but you know, I'm just going through my notes now. I'm 100% sure on July 1st, 2022, absolutely all renters were out, leasers, renters, tenants. And I bought the building May 2011. And when I bought it, I promised the previous owners I wouldn't kick out the tenants. And I kept that promise until I had to. And so they were with me from May 2011 till July 1st, 2022, that particular renter. So essentially, I bought this building for the sake of my husband's business, and CanPro Heating and Cooling occupied this building. I'm sorry, I guess I feel like I'm supposed to be looking at the assessor and you. I apologize.
It's okay.
When I bought the building, it was for the purpose of a retail store for my husband. And essentially, CanPro Heating and Cooling had moved to near Tinkertown on Highway number 1 because they needed more space. So we have a retail store in there. It's IC computers and security cameras. And my husband's 67 and I'm 63. And I kind of think he wants to keep this till he dies. So essentially, the next person who owns this building, I'm 100% sure, are just going to bulldoze it down because it is 111 years old. And essentially, to bring it up to safety standards to have renters in is unreasonable because it's a money pit, or it is, well, I've owned another money pit, a 100-year-old house on Rosedale. And I just know that old buildings, you never make them perfect ever. It's just easier. You should just bulldoze it and build new. And I'm 100% sure that is what the next owner of this property will do. In the meantime, I've got a husband who loves his business. And so this is, you know, maintaining something in this building. So it's not a vacant building waiting to get burned down like the unfortunate bougie restaurant. So what I'm trying to say is, we have a building that's not as nice as Marigold next door or Baines next door, which are built with cinder blocks. Our building is built with wood and stucco, and you know, so to me, it's not a heritage building like the Confederation building or some of these other beautiful buildings that are downtown here. It's not a heritage building or of any significant historical value to the city of Winnipeg. It has value to me as I only own my home and I own this one building, so I'm not a real estate investor. I just bought this building so that we would have a home for a retail store. And I, by all means, feel, yes, when you own property, you owe property taxes, and I, you know, I'm willing to pay my fair share of property taxes. It's just that City of Winnipeg 2026 school and municipal taxes.
Oh, we're not here to talk about taxes,
No,
just assess value.
assessment. Okay, the assessment was 477, and then to all of a sudden have the computer spit out 878 is kind of radical. That's a radical thing because it's a 111-year-old building. I can understand some properties jump in value because they're new and desirable, but I'm suggesting this is not a new desirable property that someone would jump on. And an example would be 450 St. Mary's Road, the trophy and award store burnt down maybe 20 years ago. And that particular property was for sure empty for 15 years. It was an empty lot. So they did clean it up because it burned down, and it was an empty lot for at least 15 years. And now they're building a beautiful residential property on it. But what I'm telling you is, I believe I'm keeping the property looking okay, and I'm, maintaining the property. I think that's better than an empty lot. And at the same time, a community wants life in it. So I am providing life to the community with a retail store, and I am suggesting that my husband has pride in his building and I have pride. And it's just unrealistic for me at 63 years old to get financing to make a 100-year-old building up to residential standards. It's not possible. But it is possible for a new owner in 5 or 10 or 15 years to bulldoze it and build a beautiful new property such as the one going up at 450 St. Mary's Road. And so I'm saying that 477 is a fair assessment, and I'm willing to pay the price to own this building. And the history is 2018, it was assessed at 499, 2019, it was assessed at 428, 2020, it was assessed at 478, 2021, 478, and 2022, 478. And then a couple years I don't like, but I like the 2026 one. That's why I said it first. 2023, 665, 000, 2025, 692, 000. And as I said, I was here in this same room October 7th, 2024 for a hearing. And so the 2026 assessment was 477. So what I'm saying to you today, Mr. Assessor, is 477 is fair. And I feel strongly that, the computer is the one that spit out this 878,000 figure, and no buyer. If I listed my property tomorrow, I believe an agent would list it at 500 with the knowledge that the next buyer would bulldoze it. So there's a cost to bulldozing a property and making it ready for a new building. But that is what's going to happen to my property when I ultimately let it go.
And that concludes your verbal presentation.
Oh, one more thing, sorry.
One
Long.
of the things, previous assessments are really not relevant for what you've appealed
Okay,
today.
I just thought the assessor might have compassion. It's okay. I said I would read those figures for you because I submitted that late. So I'm just calling that up to read those figures quickly.
Well, I think we understand what you're saying. I'm not sure looking at the phone is gonna give you any.
No, I wanted to read you the figures, but there aren't a lot of figures. There's only 5 figures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
What-
7 figures.
What are these related to?
Okay.
No, what are they
Property
related to?
expenses,
Oh,
property expenses, 2025. So it is important to the assessor.
that's the only figure, really.
Okay, assessor, property expenses, 485 St. Mary's Road, 2025. City of Winnipeg taxes, 11950.82. City of Winnipeg business taxes, 560.63. City of Winnipeg water and waste, 1624.44. Manitoba Hydro gas, 1206.45. Manitoba Hydro electricity, 1781.00. Insurance, 2928.00. Maintenance, 6789.00. Total expenses of 485 St. Mary's Road, $26,840.34. Owner occupied small business, no tenants, no retail income, no leasing income. I own the property, my small business occupies the property. And I'm requesting that due to the age of the property and the fact that there are no renters, the assessed value remains 182 for residential part, 297 for other part, total 477,000.00.
And that concludes your verbal evidence.
Unless you want to take a recess, if you wanted the 3 names of the City of Winnipeg workers who did come for a
You know what?
tour of the building.
They're not here to give evidence, so it's really, they're building inspectors, not assessors.
Okay,
So it's not really relevant to what they're finding out with the component parts of you have to pay attention to that.
okay.
But in terms of us, we're looking at the realty.
Then I just wanted to state that I have not been I have not had someone from the assessment department request a tour of my building. I have not had that request.
Okay, thank you very much. Does that conclude?
Do you,
I
okay,
think that-
I think I've presented enough.
Any questions, Mr. Pontanello?
Just, I guess one question in regards to the inspection, if the property owner, do you recall, was it the planning and property development?
I think that's where Matthew Greatrex. I believe that's where he
Okay.
works.
So
And so there were 3 men though, and they all had different departments or titles, but they all had City of Winnipeg business cards.
Yep, I understand that. Yeah. So okay, so that kind of also gives confirmation that it wasn't from our department that inspected it. So we would need to proceed with that next, and then from there we can make adjustments to the income stream. But someone from our department has to go and make an inspection for that to happen.
Okay, so
Okay.
you're gonna give me a date or you'll ask someone?
We can probably work with that after the hearing is over. For now, let's just deal with what we have at hand, which is the 2027 assessment. But with that being said, yes, if we can confirm that it is being used as a storage capacity and not a residential capacity, then we will have to make adjustments to our internal records to reflect that. And then from there should be an impact on the assessment, which most likely means we might have to issue a supplemental on that. But we'll have to move forward on that when that comes up.
Okay,
Thank you. Miss Anderson, any questions?
Just to confirm the number that you were requesting, the valuation, it was 182,000 for the residential portion?
okay, yes, residential 182,000. And I'm just saying that I believe in October 2024, 0 was not an option. So on October 7th, 2024, when I was in this boardroom, 0 wasn't an option. So that is where the 182,000
Okay,
dollar figure came up.
okay, thank you. That was my only question. Thank you very much for your presentation and for attending today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And Mrs. Delaurie,
My question was asked and answered. Thank you.
and my questions have been asked and answered, so that concludes this hearing for your property, and you'll be hearing from the board in due course. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good day.
Thank you.
Good day.
You too.
Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next property on the docket is 1109 Roach Street, and we have an applicant.
Yes, Mr. Chair, the applicant's in the hallway.
Okay, thank you. And I assume, are both of you giving the evidence? Or
You might say yes or no or something.
well, are you or him both giving evidence?
No, just me,
Okay,
but he might, well, just to verify, I say he was there.
that's evidence.
Yeah,
We'll all swear you both in then, Mr. Chair, that's fine.
Yes, that's fine.
Mr. Applicant, would you please stand?
yeah.
Would you please state your full name?
Ron Kunkel,
Do you affirm the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. And Mr. Applicant, would you please stand? Please state your full name.
Thomas Kunkel,
Do you affirm the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
And Mr. Ponanilla, if you want to read the preliminaries into the record, and I see there's a preliminary issue.
Yep, I can do that. So up next, we have file 26-270. The roll number is 0400-023-3000. The address is 1109 Roach Street. This property is a commercial mixed-use property, so there are two components to the valuation. For the residential component, for the 2027 assessed year, we have $120,000 as the assessed value. And then for the commercial component, we have $465,000 for a total original valuation of $585,000. And as previously mentioned, there is a preliminary issue in regards to having received the non-cooperation paperwork. So if I can bring your attention to page 15 of my brief, it looks like. What I have included there, once you arrive to it, is a reprint or a printout of the original income and expense mailer request that was sent to the property owner. So you can see the name and address at the top there of where we sent the request. And then going from there is just a reprint of all the typical documents that would have been mailed to the property owner. And that's my presentation for the non-cooperation portion.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Appellant, do you have anything to respond to the assessor?
Do I look at you or there? I Ron. We talked on the phone a couple of times, but we were gonna try to, do I talk to you here? Is that right?
Probably to the panel, to the panel.
Okay. Well, we were talking a bit, but then under some circumstances, I always try to come to an agreement before these hearings because it's not too pleasurable for me here. Gives me a little, but because circumstances we didn't work out, we ran out of time. So he sent me some papers. Is it okay that I use these? Remember you sent me that sheet? Is that I used that a bit? Is that all right? I just wanted, I thought you were gonna be here, so I was gonna talk to you beforehand. I didn't want to blindside you or nothing.
Just if you want, just speak about the paperwork that you sent into the department, and then we can discuss the valuation afterwards if that's what you're referring to. We can discuss
No, I
that,
was-
but
Yeah, we have to rule on this non-cooperation issue.
Yeah, oh, that first?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, there was something about that, so. That's the mailer, you call them mailers?
yeah,
Yes.
the income and expense mailer. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, well, I wrote this down, but I wrote some stuff down, so anyways, I want to address to the city did not receive my 2024 mailer information. Which the values, which is the year the values are based on for 27-28 property taxes, I believe.
It's the reference here.
Sorry?
It's the
Reference.
reference period. Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so I would like to say that I always diligently mail these in and that it must have got lost in transit for, because like I always send them in. And because of this, I'll have to pay taxes because you didn't receive it. I believe I'll have to pay taxes in 2027 on the original valuation of $585,000, which is a huge rate increase from the previous valuation of $450,000. Considering nothing has really changed in the building besides a minor rent increase. So I guess I'm saying I sent it in, but what I'm doing is I'm asking if you can please excuse this one time. Because I always send them in. And the city, I believe, and I don't know if Roddy can affirm or confirm this, but I don't know how back, but I'm guessing maybe let's start at 2016 to 2024. The city has a record of them.
Yeah,
And
let's
also
not go back in that.
No, but I just want to show that I have sent them in the past. It's not erratic for me. So from 2016, 23, I have sent them in. I think they have a record of it, and also 25. So the only year they don't have it is 24, for whatever reason. And that's, of course, the one that's missing, and that's what this is based on. So I just want to show that my history, I always send them in for like the last 10, 15 years, whatever it is, but for whatever reason, 24 you guys don't have.
Okay, Mr. Ponella, any questions?
No questions. I would like to just confirm that the appellant is correct that we have received requests for income and expense information. It was this 1 year that we never received the mailer on time. So I just want to confirm what he's saying is correct.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson, any questions?
My only question is in regards to then, you indicated you did submit it. It may have been lost in transit. So when you appealed the assessment and then saw the materials that the assessor had filed, I'm just wondering if you then submitted the mailer?
No.
No, okay. Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Ms. Delor?
I have no questions, thank you.
And I have no questions, so we will have to go in recess.
Okay, so did I say enough there? I hope I just want to show my history. I did send them in, well, always for and of course this year it went from went from 450,000 to 585,000. So now I'm going to be paying taxes because of this in
Well,
27.
let's get on with that after we deliberate on the issue of non-cooperation.
And I will take us in camera, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we are now live.
Thank you very much.
Yes, so. Mr. Sesser, sorry.
That's okay.
Good day, I'm back.
Thank you very much. We'll reconvene the hearing, and based on what we've heard this morning, this property has been adjourned to a later date, and the board will be in touch with you in due course as to when they're going to set up the meeting. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're right. Can I give you a call, Roddy, sometime?
Yeah, you know what? My audio cut out at the very last minute there. Can I ask what was just said? All I heard was when we rescheduled and I said I was here and then I missed that last little part.
Oh, it's been adjourned.
Oh, the hearing's been adjourned.
Yes.
Okay.
I need
Okay.
a POA. I have my PO. So can I call you sometime?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, of course you can. Sure.
Okay, thanks. Thank
Thank
you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm a little, I was just a little confused there. So did the property owner, they asked for an adjournment to a later date so that we could maybe see if we could figure out, like some sort of conclusion? I'm just curious as to why it was adjourned all of a sudden.
Well, I think we will have to do that off camera.
Oh, I see. Okay. Um, okay, we'll leave it at that then, and we'll just move on to the next one.
Mr. Chair, no applicant is present for the next item.
Oh,
For-
okay.
No applicant is present for the next, well, I'll call it into the record.
Sure.
The next property is 409 Selkirk. And there is nobody in attendance, so we will move this to the end of the docket. If
Okay. Yep, that works.
everybody's in agreement.
So 1051 Main Street next? Or I guess I'll wait for you guys to let me know.
So the property after that is 1051 Main Street, and I understand the applicants are zooming in.
Yes, the applicant is present.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
And Mr. Chair, shall I swear in the applicant?
Yes, please.
Miss applicant, please state your full name.
My full name is Thị Hoàng Dung Nguyễn.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The property that we're going to hear now is 1051 Main Street. And Mr. Fontanello, you can start with your brief.
Sorry, I was on mute there. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Up next, we have file 26-503. The roll number is 1402-208-1000. The address is 1051 Main Street. This property is a commercial mixed-use property, so there are two components to the assessment. For the 2027 assessment, we have for the residential component $55,000. And for the commercial component, $471,000, for a total assessed value for 2027 of $526,000. There are two buildings associated on the property description, three premises associated with the subject property, and it is a two-story building. We have an actual year built of 1905 and 1951 for the two components of the building, with an effective year overall of 1980. For land area, we have 5,391 square feet. And for total leasable area, we have 2,241 square feet on file. I have included some pictures of the subject property, which begins on page 2. The first image I have is the pad eye view image of the subject property, so we can see its orientation in the neighborhood. Following that, I have included a pictometry overhead view of the subject property. We can see the components of the building there. And then from there, I have included a north-facing view and a west-facing view of the subject property. And then following that, I do have the Google Street View images of the subject property. We have received requests for income and expense information. So we're okay there. We do have it looks to be quite a long subject sales history on it, with the latest coming August 6, 2024, which was within the reference period, for $465,000. From there, I have included rent comparables that are all from within the subject's market region. So these properties all have a range from 760 square feet, more or less, to approximately 1,500 square feet. And we do have rents that range from $17.50 at the lower end to $29 at the higher end. For the residential component, I have included 5 comparable subjects that are all from within the same market region as the subject property. And we do have, for the subject, we do have it as a 1 unit, 1 bedroom unit subject. And we do have it at $679. And then we do have comparables that range from $763 on the lower end to $860 on the higher end. The first component we have on the income stream is the retail component. So we do have 2 premises associated with the retail component. We do have 1,521 square feet for the first premise and 720 square feet for the second premise, for a total area of 2,241 square feet. And we do have rents for the bigger premise of $17.98, and for the smaller premise $19.14. So the total potential rent that we have is $41,129. And the blended rate that we have for the subject property for both
Cái internet nó bị
It appears the screen's frozen.
Oh, I see.
And we lost them.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I believe the assessor is no longer in this meeting.
No, he's back.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. I was in the middle of my presentation and suddenly I just lost the connection. So moving forward here, just getting back to the commercial component, the retail stream. I believe I had finished off at 7.85% as the cap rate that was applied, which brings us to a total assessed value for the commercial component of $471,000. And then from there, we do have the residential component, the apartment stream. As previously mentioned, it is a 1-bedroom suite, 1 unit, and we do have that at $679.27 for the suite for monthly rent, which brings us to a total potential gross income of $8,151. And then from there, we do have the model parameters of a 3.5% vacancy, a 58% expense, 58.14% expense rate. And that brings us to a net operating income of $3,293. And then from there, we have a cap rate applied, a model cap rate of 5.95%, which brings us to our total residential value of $55,000 for assessed value.
And Mr. Pontello, you were going to give us a blended rate on the commercial?
Oh,
And that-
I guess
that's
I
when you
just,
cut off.
oh, I see. Okay, and so for the commercial component, the blended rate was $18.35.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And then so the continuing on, so and then if we go to page 12 for the income value summary, That just shows the summary of the information I just provided. So 471,000 for the commercial component, $55,000 for the residential component, which brings us to a total assessed value of $526,000. From there, I do have information on cap rates that we had previously discussed. And then from there, I do have some information on Municipal Assessment Act excerpts that are pertinent to the information we're discussing. And then from there, I have included the subject's 2024 income and expense mailer information. This information was filled out online, so that's why it has the look that it has. But all the information is there that was filled out by the property owner. And I believe that takes me to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Newland, do you have any questions of the assessor?
Yes. Okay. So I actually have some question for the assessor. The first one, the assessor evident identify the subject property as having sold for 465,000 on August the 6th, 2024. Would the assessor please explain how does actual transaction were reconciled with the 471,000 commercial assessment?
Thank you for the question. If I'm understanding it correctly, you're asking me as to why the model had increased the assessment from the 460 it was previously to 471 on the commercial component. Is that correct? You're wondering where that came from?
Yes.
So, yep. So thanks again for the question. So basically the way it works is that for our mass appraisal system, we do have essentially a fresh look at every single property that we have within the city of Winnipeg, whether it's residential or commercial. In this case, it's commercial. And so we have a fresh look at the subject property. There are many factors that go into your assessment. So there can be some information in regards to lease information. So we take all information that we receive from property owners and business owners around, and then we compile the information to get an idea of leases. From there, we do have an idea for square footage. So we have property owners that submit their leases, the sizes of their premises, what they're receiving in as their leases. From there, we also have all the information that's provided in regards to recent market sales. So sales of the neighborhood of similar property types to yours that are currently being reviewed. And basically all of this information that we get, we compile it into a mass appraisal model. And then the model predicts an assessed value that attempts to be close to the actual sales ratio. It attempts to be as close as possible to actual sales information that we have. So the prediction is an attempt to give a value to your property that would be comparable to other properties, both in regards to their lease information and in regards to recent sales. So that's why every cycle you might have a variation in your assessment, because there might be variations in the rest of the market regions surrounding you, and all of the other properties as we receive information and we can make determinations on values increasing, it then gets applied to your subject property. So it is more complicated, that there are more moving parts, but that in a nutshell is kind of how the assessment works when it comes to providing a value for your property.
Thank you. So
I think you're muted.
understand.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not muted. Can you hear me?
I still can't hear anything. I'm not sure. Oh, did I turn it down?
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you now. Sorry. Yeah, maybe I turned it down on my
Okay.
thing here.
Yeah, so I understand was 465,000 transaction given anyway in arriving at the 471,000 commercial value.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm not really sure what the income stream would have been like for the previous cycle that got you to that 465. I can't really speak to that because I never saw that valuation, so I can only work with what I have in front of me. I will say that 471 to 465 is very close in commercial value. That's almost similar. That's almost exactly what it would have been last cycle. Sometimes they can increase dramatically more than that. So all things considered, that's actually very close. If that's one of your points of concern, the 465 to 471 is very close.
Yeah, but 465 is for the entire property,
Oh, I
including
see.
the
Okay.
residential and the commercial.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see what you're
That's
saying.
why
Okay.
my question is that like the transaction that we actually bought the building,
Yep.
given any way in arriving at,
It
like
does.
the number that you get,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, that can
471,000.
Yep, that can definitely be a factor as any sort of like a recent sale would be taken into consideration. Um that 465 that you're speaking of, again, I don't is that 465, are you referring to the sales price from 2024 or the 2025 assessment?
Yeah, we actually, like you
Oh,
can
I can
see
see. Yeah, I
for
can see it
the,
here.
yeah, yeah, like 465,000 actually the purchase price that we bought.
Yep,
And you can see from the title, the land title, is it
yep.
the transition for August 6, 2024. So it's just like few months up,
Yeah, it is.
like
Yep. No,
for
that's
the reference date.
I don't disagree that that's good information in regards to coming up with the valuation. If the board agrees that that should be the correct value, I won't disagree. That's something that I leave up to the board to come to that conclusion.
Okay. The second question I have for you. So regarding to the Hoover game lease, actually the evidence that I submitted include the Hoover game lease for the commercial premises. Your evidence that no subject lease found. Were the actual subject lease considered in the income approach?
Yes, that would definitely have a factor. Again, it's a model. What you're looking at there is a model-driven assessment. So these parameters haven't been adjusted. This is just what the mass appraisal model has predicted as the assessed value. So that definitely can be taken into consideration, provided it's within the market value that we see as acceptable as a range from the information that we're looking at. Possibly that could be a place to make an adjustment. It would be the rental rate.
Yeah, thank you. Could you please explain how the actual contractual rents of $1,509.38 plus GST per month were reflected in the valuation?
Let me just take a look here.
That is the actual rent, like the payment, the rental monthly payment.
Again, it could, yes, there can be an adjustment made to the rental rate if we see that the lease information that we have seems to be a reflection of market rates. I say that because sometimes we can have what's called table rates and book rates, and those rates might be, for example, if the property is owner occupied and essentially the owners are paying themselves a rental rate or a lease that they charge themselves as a form of bookkeeping. Sometimes that might have some weight, sometimes it might be a little lower. So there's always questions as to the information that's provided. But with that, oh, sorry, is someone coming in or? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, for some reason I thought I heard someone else speaking in the speaker there system there. I don't know if they're speaking to me about something. Sorry, I'm just actually looking through the evidence. Perhaps I can wait until it's the appellant's turn to give a presentation. I was trying to look and see what the lease information was that was provided there, but it's not coming up quickly. But yeah, no, I can only say that in regards to your question, I can say that yes, there can be an effect. We would have to take a close look at the lease information that's provided, but provided that it falls within an acceptable sort of market rate range that we would deem to be acceptable for the subject, we can make an adjustment to the rental rate to reflect that.
Thank you. I also have another question regarding to the rental comparable.
Yep.
So I note that on the 7 rental comparable relies upon by you are located on McPhillips Street, whereas the subject property is located at 1051 Main Street.
Yep.
So could you please explain how the difference in location between McPhillips Street and Main Street were considered in selecting the comparable and determining the market rent for the subject property?
Yep, no, that's a good question. The comparables that were chosen are from within the same market region as these subject properties. So I understand that sometimes it's a little hard when you see, for example, Main Street and then you see McPhillips. It might be hard to see because they are far away from each other. They're not obviously next door to each other. But we have maps and we have market regions that are in place, and these market regions tend to attempt to capture swaths of the city that have similar sort of components to them, like similar population sizes, similar infrastructure, and then that's all placed as a market region. So, for example, your market region, if I'm not mistaken, I'd have to take a look again, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not mistaken on this. The market region that encompasses your subject property also encompasses Main Street, and it even encompasses Regent Avenue. So you would sometimes think Regent Avenue, that's really far away in Transcona. You know, how can that be within the same market region? But we do have it on our map showing that they fall within the same market region. But the reason being is that they're regional corridors. So McPhillips being a regional corridor, Main Street being a regional corridor, Regent being a regional corridor, because they're regional streets, they have similar infrastructure in terms of neighborhood amenities, residential populations, etc. And so that's why we can use the information that we receive from that as a reflection of the activity within the neighborhood that we're looking at. So in a nutshell, you're within the same market region. That's why I chose the ones I did, because they all fall within the same market region. They're all on regional streets, Main Street, McPhillips, and so they are comparable. It's always difficult to find an exact comparable property near the subject property, especially in regards to a subject like yours, which is a commercial mixed use property. That's the reason why I have to choose residential information that might not necessarily be a commercial and residential building, but we have to work with the data that we have, right? So the residential is sort of a reflection of residential rental rates that are received within the market region, and the same thing with your commercial properties. We have to sort of use information that we can gather to get an idea of what the model is predicting the rental rates should be on your subject property. So if you look, for example, the model rate for your subject property, what do we have modeled here? We're looking at a blended rate of $18 per square foot if you take the blended rate from both the 1798 and the 1914. I'm looking at page 10 of my brief, just so you can see. So if you take that blended rate of $18 and change, that blended rate, that's the model predicting that what this property could be receiving is around that $18 rental rate. If you look at the comparables afterwards, you'll see McPhillips Avenue, $18, McPhillips, $18, McPhillips, $20, McPhillips, $14, McPhillips, $29. $27 on McPhillips, or sorry, $17 on McPhillips. So maybe that $18, if you look at these comparables that I have included, maybe that falls within a range that these would be. It's definitely not within the higher range. It's not the lowest, but there's a range here showing. I mean, if we could have gone with Main Street, but Main Street, if I'm not mistaken, there were some properties that they just weren't as comparable, which is why I didn't include them in. But yeah, that's just the information. This is just the comparables that I chose for the brief. I hope that helps you.
Could you
I hope
please
I didn't ramble too much.
Yeah, could you please identify where specific location adjustment between McPhillips and 1051 Main Street is reflected in the analysis?
So for I have several different ones that I chose. For example, like when I take a look at the subject, I have just kind of my own personal review process in regards to choosing comparables. So for example, the subject property is plus minus 2,000 square feet, and we have it at a blended rate of $18.56. So if you look in comps in terms of size, 1353 McPhillips, I have that at 1,525 square feet. So that's kind of close to what the subject is of plus or minus 2,000 square feet, and we have that at $18.11, whereas the subject is at 1856. So that's already fairly close. The closest comp by location, probably not the greatest because they're all on McPhillips Street, but I had chosen 993 McPhillips as the closest by location, but they are all on McPhillips, so I understand that. And that one is at $29 per square foot. And then the closest comp that I have by use, which is kind of, for my understanding, is the same similar use as the subject, would be 991 McPhillips at $14.84. So again, 14, 18, 29. Subject property is at 1856. It doesn't seem like it's necessarily out of it wouldn't be out of line as to what would be received. And when we look at your information, because I did do an analysis on your mailer information, I noticed that you had listed the income type as gross or partially owner occupied. So I'm assuming that's because you or your family run the business that's going on inside, and so that's why there's a partial owner occupancy. So then that's why I couldn't really take a look and then try to make a comparison. Okay, what is the model predicting versus what are the actuals being received at the subject property? Because it's owner occupied partially, there isn't a way to sort of quantify that. So then from there, I have to then just start using the market data that we have and seeing if the modeled rental rate is acceptable for the subject property.
So the comparable rents, like the rents from $14.84 to 29.24 per square foot. Could you please explain what adjustment or waging will apply to determine the appropriate market rent for 1051 Main Street from this range?
Well, again, we don't have any actual information because it's partially owner occupied. So it's difficult to quantify exactly to try to capture what the lease information should be because we don't have it. So if we had lease information, if you had a tenant there that was paying a net lease, then we could take a better look to see, well, how far off is the model in predicting maybe it's under what the net lease is, maybe it's over, we're unclear. It's a bit of a hypothetical question you're asking me because there isn't a way to quantify that. Basically, what you're looking at is a modeled rental rates that are being applied. So I haven't made any adjustments personally. This was something that was provided to us from the model that we have in place. So I'm not really sure if I can even answer that question sufficiently for you as it's just all model driven assessment. So there haven't been any adjustments that I've put in place, if that's what you're asking. And that $18.56, that blended rate, that's between the two, that's model driven. So like I said, that all the market data points that have gone in, recent lease information, recent sales information, the size, characteristics, location, all these play a factor as to how the model predicts the rental rate that's then applied.
I also note that several of the 7 comparables come from the same property or row numbers.
Yep.
How did you ensure that the selected comparable provides sufficient geographic and property diversity to represent the market rents for 1051 Main Street?
Yeah, well, again, this was a small sample size of subject leases that were netted out, that I could verify that are netted out leases that are then taken in. Obviously, I could have included a lot more comparables from all other types of the city or other locations within the city, but it would also really lengthen the amount of comparable information that we would be looking at. And I just didn't feel like it really necessarily applied in this situation. So I try to keep it relevant to just the subject property and then choose a handful of comparables that we can then look at to see plus or minus, you know, based on these comparables, how does the subject line up with them?
Okay. Another question regarding to the lease terms. The comparables lease have different commencement dates and lease term. So could you please explain how those differences were adjusted for
Yep.
when deriving the market rent applicable for the subject property?
Again, the subject property has a modeled rental rate, so that would have been a model driven. I sort of feel like you're asking me to justify any adjustments that I had made or as to put forward as to why the assessment produced the value that it did. And the best thing that I can let you know is that it was a model driven assessment. So this assessment was created by our mass appraisal model. So I haven't personally made any adjustments to the income stream. This is something that was modeled and then, you know, we put together the brief and we put together how the model came up with this value. But you know, like for example, like if I'm understanding correctly, you're asking me questions about the lease start dates for some of the comparables that I had put. This is lease information that we just have on record. So there aren't any adjustments that are made to the lease information that's provided. This is just simply when the lease information has begun. So for example, if we have lease start dates of 2015, 22, 23, 17, 24, 17, 18, that's when the leases start for, and then you can see the terms. So for the 2015 one, the term is over 10 years. 2022, the term is over 5 years, right? So then that'll encompass the reference period that then we have for our current assessment, which is April 1st, 2025. They all fall within the reference period. So yeah,
And
that's
also
information
about,
put forward by there. Go ahead.
thank you. How about the $29 and 24? So could you please explain the specific characteristic of like 993 McPhillips Street lease that make it like 29.24 per square foot rent comparable to 1051 Main Street, and whether any adjustment were made for differences between that property and the subject property?
Again, it's a model-driven assessment. I haven't made any adjustments. This is just comparable information that we have of a lease that's within the same market region. And I actually don't have the income and expense mailer information in front of me. And if I had the information, I wouldn't provide it anyways because it is proprietary to the information that we have within the department. So I'm not going to be showing you any of those internal documents that we have. Suffice it to say that this is just the lease information that we have for the subject that I'm sharing to show as one of the lease, as one point of data. But with that being said, the modeled rate is $18. It's well below the $29.24. So I'm not trying to even justify the $29. This is just one lease of the many that I have put forward for the subject property.
And I think I'll interject here. I think you've answered the question, so let's move on.
Sure, I think I have to.
Okay, so about the physical condition, so I'm not sure, like the documented physical condition and maintenance required for 1051 Main Street, you consider in the income approach or final value or?
Like you're talking about the overall condition of the building?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that would be reflected in the $18 that's being achieved, that the model is predicting as a rental rate. I would argue that is capturing the age of the building, and the current condition of it. I would argue it is being captured in that $18 per square foot that we're putting forward.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Those are my questions.
Thank you very much. Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions. They've been asked and answered. Thank you.
And Ms. Del Oro, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
And I have no questions. So Mr. Noon, you may complete or make your presentation.
Thank you. So I would like to briefly summarize my evidence. And the reasons why I respectfully believe the commercial assessment of 471,000 should be reconsidered. So my application concerns the commercial portion of 1051 Main Street. The current commercial assessment is 471,000. So my portion is not simply that the assessment is too high. My concerns is whether the valuation assumptions fairly reflect to circumstances of this particular property as of April the 1st, 2025, reference date. So first, the property was purchased in 2024 for 400,000 with the transaction registered on August the 6th, 2024. So I recognize that the 465,000 purchase price relates to the entire property and does not automatically establish the commercial assessment. However, it is an to-market transaction relatedly close to the April the 1st, 2025 reference date. So I um, actually respectfully ask the board to consider how the transaction were reconciled with the 471,000 assessment for the commercial component alone. So you can see it's supported by the SBs is B and C in my like application. Second, there's were an actual assisting a commercial tenant who began with a lease that commenced before I purchased the property. So the contractual rent is $1,509.38 plus GST per month. So my concern is that the assessor evidence that no subject list found. So I respectfully ask the board to consider whether the actual list were considered in determining the income attributable to the property. So you can take a look of the list included in the Exhibit D. So for the income approach, the assessor income approach views potential annual rents of approximately 41 $41,129. So apply 5% vacancy factor and 3% expensive, resulting in approximate $37,005 NOI, and now capitalize that income at 7.85% to arrive at approximate 471,000. So my concern is whether the assumption accurately reflect the actual age, condition, configuration, tenancy, market availability of this particular property. I also submitted the evidence concerning the actual physical condition and maintenance requirements of the property. So this includes the roof repair documentation, the photograph of the property, the damaged window and replacement, furnace maintenance documentation, and additional lighting evidence. I actually not asking the board to simply deduct the repair costs for the assessment. Rather, I am asking the board to consider that these documents demonstrate about the actual condition and maintenance requirements of the property, particularly where the underlying condition existed as of the applicable reference date. Um, with the chair, I also would like to address my rebuttal evidence that submitted to the board following the receipt of the assessor evidence. And also, I understand that the board instruction that the submitted rebuttal evidence is available for distribution to the panel and opposing parties. So I'm gratefully request that my rebuttal evidence will be distributed and that I be permitted to address it.
Well, we have all of the written evidence submitted in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act, so I'm not sure there's nothing else that written wise that we're looking at.
So I'm talking about the rebuttal I submitted recently after I received the assessor assessment.
So you've
So-
submitted evidence twice?
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, the rebuttal. Firstly, when I submit the application, I also submit the evidence. So after I receive the assessor assessment, I also submit my rebuttal.
Mr. Chair, the applicant submitted rebuttal evidence as well.
Oh, and we're not showing it?
It had to be introduced first, now
Oh,
it's distributed,
yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, I guess we have it now, and after you introduced it, she's gonna make us privy to that evidence.
Mr.
Thank you.
I sent it to you. Now I'm going to add it to the panel SharePoint. So, Mr. Chair, that has been added to the panel agenda. And also add it to the version here.
Oh, that's these ones here. We have now received the rebuttal evidence, and Mr. Pontinello, do you have it?
Sorry, I was just muted. Yep, I did receive it here.
And panel members, do you have it?
What's the document title, please?
The document title should be applicant rebuttal 1 through 6. Let me just see if I.
Got it. Thank you. Just came through.
I have it as well.
Thank you. So my rebuttal continue from exhibit L through exhibit B, P, exhibit L provide the Reliant Furnace maintenance agreement from November 2024, and I submit this as a additional context concerning the property actual maintenance requirement. So exhibit M concern the damaged window serving the commercial portion of the property at 1053 Main Street shortly after I acquired, including the documentation concerning the incident and its relation and like police report. As his bid and provide additional insurance documentation concerning the property and its actually ownership and operating circumstances. As his bid O document subsequent security incident at the property, including thief of the garbage bin and the two flower planters. I'm not submitting these incident as an independent method of determining market value. I'm provide them only as supporting context concerning the actual operation environment experienced at the property. His BP provide before and after photographs concerning the lighting system together with the tenant request for replacement and address. So, but I'm currently outside of Canada, so I do not have access to the purchase invoice for the replacement lighting system. I'm therefore not asking the board to assign the specific dollar value to the lighting replacement based on its as his bid. I submit I submitted it as additional evidence concerning the condition of the former lighting system and the subsequent replacement. I understand that the applicable reference date is April the 1st, 2025. Some of the additional documents submitted in the Roberto post date that date. I'm not asking the board to treat both reference date events or expenses as direct evidence of the market value as of April the 1st, 2025. So whether appropriate, I respectfully ask the board to consider the evidence for the limited purpose of understanding the property physical condition, maintenance history, and operating circumstances, and to give is whatever way the board consider appropriate. And so when I look at the evidence as a whole, my concerns is that 471,000 commercial assessment may not fully reflect the particular characteristic and circumstances of 1051 Main Street. So there's an total 465,000 purchase transaction, an actual exit commercial lease, specific rental assumptions used in the income approach, and the documented evidence concern the property age, condition, and maintenance requirement. So I respectfully ask the board to consider whether the rental assumptions, the comparable property has been sufficiently adjusted for the differences between those property and 1051 Main Street. And for this region, I respectfully request that the board reconsider the current 471,000 commercial assessment and revise it downward to a level supported by the evidence before the board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pontanello, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
And Ms. Anderson?
I have a question in regards to your document with the executive summary, your brief, just in regards to the sales that you reference. You indicated there's some commercial listings in the surrounding area. 919 Main Street, 968 Main Street. Those listings they're from where did they come from?
Yeah, I just Google search like the listing, recent listing around my area.
Oh, okay. So they're like from MLS, from multiple listing search.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. And then the lighting system, I see the request to have the light from the tenant to have the lighting improved. Like, do you have an estimate for a quote for what?
Yeah, because I'm currently in Vietnam, so I don't have all
Okay.
the document with me. Yeah, so
Okay.
I actually don't have, yeah, I don't have the number right now.
Okay, so do you have a proposal, a request that you're asking the board? Like you're indicating, reflecting that we should consider adjusting the assessment downward, decreasing it. Do you have a request for the commercial part or for the residential part that identifies
Yeah,
them?
I actually, my application actually for the commercial part.
Right, just the commercial only. And so do
But
you,
I'm just gonna interject for a minute. The application is for the total value of the property. It's under one roll number. It's not two separate individual roll numbers. So even though your thought was you were going to appeal just the commercial part, the residential is part of that total $526,000 assessment. So we're dealing with one figure.
Because when I apply for the appeal, I also take a look of the current value, and in the tax assessment is there two different parts, the residential and the commercial one. So that's why I just apply for the commercial one, because the residential actually is not too much adjustment compared to the previous tax assessment.
But
okay,
just so you know that the total is at appeal.
I'm sorry, I did not catch your point.
The total values at appeal.
Yeah, so this is come from, like the commercial part of 471,000 plus the presidential one at 55,000.
right. So that equals 526,000 for the total assessment. So your concern relates to the presentation that you've presented, then you're saying you agree with the residential assessment of 55, the portion, the 55,000. But in regards to the commercial assessment, that's what you're questioning and asking for it to be decreased.
Yes.
So currently that is $471,000. And based on what you brought forward, like I'm wondering, do you have a quote, like what decrease are you seeking? What
Actually, like I know that I just like present my application and my information so that the board can consider weighing any like the information, so to reflect the actual value of the property, considering age, condition, operating environment, and like I don't actually seeking for any specific number, but because by 2024, a few months after the reference desk, I actually bought the property, include the residential one and the commercial, at 465,000 total. Then now only the commercial is in reach up to 471. So I I don't actually seeking for any number. I know that like the board will consider everything, and like determine what is the actual like the actual value, consider like one of the factors that we presented in this
Yes.
bill.
Yeah,
Thank
all
you.
of the information that you presented, and thank you so much for all your work on this. Thank you for your presentation and for answering my questions. That's all my questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Delora.
My questions were asked and answered. Thank you.
And my questions were asked and answered. So this concludes 1051 Main Street. Thank you, everybody, and you'll receive our decision in due course.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We, number 5.
Should I admit the applicant for illustrator?
Yes, we might as well call this hearing to order. Just get it up here. You're not there.
Mr. Knowles? So here's Mr. Chair, the applicant is not at their video screen at this time.
Well, then shall we proceed to item number 6?
So I will place the applicant into the wait. And where, Mr. Chair, there's no applicant present for item number 6.
Given that the applicant is not on Zoom for 90 Albert Street, we'll deal with the last item on the docket, 466 Victor Street. In my understanding, there is nobody in attendance for this hearing. And if you want to present your case, Mr. Pontanello, and read it into the record.
Yes, I can, Mr. Chair. Whenever you guys are ready, let me know and I'll proceed.
Okay, 466 Victor Street, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So up next, we have file 26-1320. The roll number is 1304-059-0000. The address is 466 Victor Street. The 2027 assessment has two components to it. For the residential component, we have an assessed value of 127,000. And for the commercial component, we have an assessment of 311,000 for a total assessed value for 2027 of $438,000. And it does appear to be that we have a preliminary issue again in regards to the non-cooperation. So if I direct your attention to page, I believe it's page 15 is where it begins. I have included the 2024 income and expense mailer reprint. So this is all the reprinted documents from the original mailing that we sent to the property owner. And you can see there the name of the property owner and then the address that we sent it to. And going there to the end of the brief is just a reprint of all the documents that we would have sent in regards to the request for income and expense mailer information. And that's my presentation on the non-cooperation portion of it.
Thank you very much. And we have no evidence submitted by the applicant. So we can't shift the burden to the applicant.
Okay.
So thank you very much. We'll deal with that in deliberation.
Okay.
So let's go back to and see if we can find the owner for 90 Albert Street.
Did you want me to finish my presentation for Victor Street, or we'll just leave it at that?
Well, you can continue with it for the record.
Just for the record. Sure. Okay. So just for the record, getting back to Victor Street, if I'll begin now on page 2. So on page 2, I have the pad eye view image of the subject property, so we can see its orientation in the neighborhood there. On page 3, I have included the pictometry overhead view of the subject property. Following that, we have a north-facing view and an east-facing view of the subject property. And then from there, I have included the Google Street View images of the subject property. We have not received requests for income and expense information. And we do have some sales history for the subject property. And the most recent was from February 18th, 2025 for $380,000. And if we move forward on there, we have no property leases for the subject property. For rent comparables, I have included comparables that are all from within the same market region as the subject property. So we can see a range of lease start dates from 2011 at the oldest one, all the way up to 2025 for the latest lease information that we have. And then we have areas ranging from 618 square feet at the lower end to 1,400, approximately 1,500 square feet at the higher end. And then we have rents that are ranging from $13 at the lower end to it looks to be $24 at the higher end, just under $25. For the residential component, the subject is listed as 2 one-bedroom unit suites, and we do have it at $685.84 per suite per month as the modeled rate. And we have 5 comparables that were included. They're all from within the market region as the subject property. And they have rents that range from $658 at the lower end to $938 at the higher end. Moving forward on there, for the residential stream, for the apartment stream, as I previously mentioned, we have 2 suites listed, 2 one-bedroom suites, and we have that at $685.84 per suite per month, which gives us a total potential gross income of $16,460. And then from there, it's put into the model parameters that we have for the subject. So 3.2% for vacancy loss, 54.24% for expense rate, and that brings us to a net operating income of $7,291. And then from there, we have a modeled cap rate applied of 5.75% for a total assessed value of $127,000. And for the retail component, we do have 2 premises associated on the retail stream. One would be for the main floor, 1,104 square feet, and then for the basement, which is the same size, 1,104 square feet. And then we have modeled rates of $19.18 and $4.80 per square foot. So that brings us to a total potential rent of $26,474. And the total area we have is 2,208 square feet. And when we do the math on that, we get a blended rate of $11.99. You can round out to 12 if you want to, or 11.99 is the blended rate for the subject property. And then from there, it goes into the model parameters as well, 5% vacancy, a 3% expense, and an $8 shortfall per square foot. That brings us to a net operating income of $23,512. And then we have a model cap rate applied of 7.55%, which brings us to our total commercial value of $311,000. And then following that, we do have an income value summary for all the information that I just provided. So on the apartment stream, $127,000, and then the retail or the commercial stream, $311,000. That brings us to a total estimated assessment of $438,000.
Thank you very much.
And yep, and then the rest of the information is the same information I put in all my briefs. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions, Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Ms. Delaware, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And I have no questions. So we will see if we can raise the appellant for 90 Albert Street. So we will see if we can raise oh, he's there.
Hello, Mr. Applicant. You have the YouTube muted on the right now?
Hello.
Yes, it sounds like the sound issue is resolved. Mr. Chair, shall I read
If
the?
you want to swear the applicant in.
Mr. Applicant, would you please state your full name?
My name is John Knowles.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. The property is 90 Albert Street. And Mr. Fontanella, if you want to start with your brief.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So up next, we have file 26-1076. The address is 1309-907-1200. The address is 90 Albert Street. The 2027 assessment has gone out with two components, one residential and the other being a commercial. For the residential component, we have $293,000. And for the commercial component, we have $247,000 for a total assessment of $540,000. This subject is one building. There are 4 premises associated, and we have it listed as a 3-story building. The actual year built is 1901. The effective year built is 1946. The land area is 3,865 square feet, and we have a total leasable area of 1,455 square feet. And following that, on page 2, I have included the pad eye view image of the subject property so we can see its location in the neighborhood. Following that, I do have the pictometry overhead view of the subject property. And then following that, I have included some images of the subject property, the north-facing view and an east-facing view. And then following that, I have included the Google Street View images of the subject property. We have received requests for income and expense information, so we're okay there. We have no sales history on file for this subject and no lease information. For rent comparables, I did use comparables that were within the same market region as the subject property. I do have some lease start-in dates that vary from 2011 at the lower end to 2025 at the higher end. For leasable area, we have areas that range from 578 square feet at the lower end to 1,340 square feet at the higher end. And then we have rents that range from $13 at the lower end to $24.82 at the higher end. For the residential component, the subject we have listed as having 2 total units, one 1-bedroom unit and one 2-bedroom unit. And we have those valued at $1,097.85 per square foot. I have included 5 comparables from within the subject's market region. And these comparables do have a blend of 1- and 2-bedroom units. And they do have average monthly rents that lease from $909 to $975 or $982 at the higher end. Looking now at the subject's income stream, beginning with the first income stream, retail. So we do have 2 premises associated with the retail stream, one for 530 square feet on the main floor, and then we have a C9, which would be considered a leasable basement premise of 925 square feet. So the total potential rent generated from that is $18,088 total. The total area is 1,455 square feet. So the blended rate that we have for that is $12.43 as an overall blended rate. From there, we do have the model parameters of a 5% vacancy, a 3% expense, and an $8 shortfall per square foot. That brings us to a net operating income of $16,086. And then from there, we do have a cap applied of 6.5%. And from that, we do derive our assessed value of $247,000 for the commercial component. For the residential component, as previously mentioned, we have one bedroom unit and one. Actually, we only have one bedroom unit. It shows as a suite count here. We have two premises, one C2, both C2 premises at 1,097 and 85 cents as a monthly rental rate per suite. It's kind of throwing me off a little. So I think we do have two suites there. And so the total potential gross income is $26,348. And then from there, we do have a vacancy of 2.6% applied. And following that is an expense rate of 48.69%, which brings us to a net operating income of $13,168. From there, we have a cap rate applied of 4.5% on the residential component, which brings us to an assessed value of $293,000. Following that is an income value summary for the subject properties. So we have both streams listed, one for 247 and one for 293 for a total of 540,000. And then following that, I do have some cap rate information provided. And following that, I do have some Municipal Assessment Act excerpts provided. And then following that is the 2024 income and expense information for the subject property. And it was filled out online, hence why it has that outline on it. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, we just, we're gonna go in camera, because we have it noted as late evidence.
Okay.
So we'll go in camera and be back shortly.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, Mr. Chair, I will take us off camera.
Thank you.
Chair, we are now online.
Thank you very much.
I will readmit the applicant then says.
Can we do that?
Yes.
Thank you very much. We're going online again, reconvening the hearing. We have dealt with the issue of late evidence. So Mr. Knowles, we will allow you to speak to your evidence verbally.
Okay.
So
Thank
we're not looking at and when we haven't received your written evidence because it was late.
Okay. Let me know when you want me to begin.
Okay, well, we're gonna start questioning with the assessor first, and then we can deal with your verbal evidence.
Okay.
Ms. Anderson, or Mr. Knowles, any question of the assessor?
Do I have any questions of
Yeah.
this? I don't think so. Maybe they'll come up as I go through some points.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Anderson
I have no questions, thank you.
and Ms. Deloro.
I have no questions either. Thank you.
And I have no questions. So, Mr. Knowles, you can proceed with your verbal evidence.
Okay, thank you. This property was the subject of a detailed assessment by Winnipeg Property and Taxation Department 18 months or so before this assessment with the roll year 2025, and this one is the roll year is 2027. So when I received this assessment, what triggered my response was the what I thought was a pretty significant change in part of the assessment. So the property is part retail, part residential. And the retail portion, at the end of the day, the tax went up about 6.5%. The assessed value went up about 6.5%. So over 2 years, perhaps that's reasonable. The residential portion, the assessed value went up about 53%. And I thought that was, well, that caught my attention. So I looked at the different components of the assessment. The rents in the property have not increased since we first occupied it in 2020. They're still unchanged. So the actual rents haven't increased at all. With respect to, so let me see if I can work my way through my points here. The vacancy rate assumed as 5%, and that may just be a standard departmental assumption, doesn't take into account the fact that we've just actually finished about 14 months of vacancy in the only other rental suite that involves residential occupancy. And just to clarify the possible little confusion on the number of suites, there are 3 units in the building, but one of which was assessed in the previous assessment as part residential, part retail, because it's designed as a work-live space. So the person who just moved in May 1st, following the 14 months of vacancy, is a professional photographer who lives in the space as well. So if that helps with any confusion, there's 3 suites, sort of treated as 4 suites in the assessing process because one is part commercial, part residential. So the actual vacancy rate is a lot, recently anyway, has been a lot more than 5%. And what we found is, yes, we're in the Exchange, it's a historic area and all the other good things that go with it, but it's actually quite difficult to rent a unique space such as this. The expenses of the property were assumed to have gone down slightly, about 7%, which I'm not sure how that is arrived at. Our actual expenses, well, year to date in 26, they've exceeded our total expenses for the year in 2025. So I don't know that it's reasonable to assume expenses going down. So with unchanged rents, high vacancy, expenses not going down, the net operating income, it's hard to assume that it's gone up by 20%, which is the assumed increase in the residential rents in the assessment. The last item that is probably the most significant mathematically is the capitalization rate, where for the residential space in the previous assessment, the capitalization rate assumed was 5.75%, and the retail was 6.75%. So that relationship might be reasonable, I'm not sure. But for some reason, in the current assessment, the capitalization rate has been reduced by 22% to 4.5% from 5.75, while the retail space capitalization rate has also gone down, but only 0.25, from 6.75% to 6.5%. So like a 4% decrease in the cap rate. That has quite a big impact on the valuation of the residential portion of the property. So as I said, the residential assessed value went from 191,000 to 293,000, so 53% higher, based on assumed higher net operating income and a much lower capitalization rate. And I would suggest that the capitalization rate should be at the high end of the range that is in the table that was presented by the assessor. I think that range for residential was, I've written down here, 4.5% to 6.2%. So we've been assumed to be at the low end, which I guess assumes that investors or buyers of a property would value this property very highly. It is in the Exchange District, as we said, but unfortunately, there are a lot of challenges in the area, and in particular, challenges renting this property. So I'd say the risk of it is actually at the high end, not the low end of investments in real estate in the Exchange District or in Winnipeg. And that's essentially pretty much all I have to say. I'm happy to answer any questions, and hope what I've referred to here is relevant.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Pontanella, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
And Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Okay.
And Mr. Delora, any questions?
I just have one question. What do you think the value, what would you have assessed your property at?
Well, I would have thought maybe the increase in the retail space value, about 6.5%, was a reasonable assumption over the last 2 years. I guess 2 years of reference. As I said, the last assessment was 18 months prior to this one. But so I think if I applied that ratio, I think I would get to 203,000 for the residential instead of 293,000. 203 instead of 293,000. So it'd be $450,000 total for the property instead of 540,000 for the property. That would mean it had gone up by 6.5% over the 2 years.
Thank you. That was my only question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, and I have no questions. Thank you, everyone. We have heard all the items scheduled today, and this hearing is now adjourned.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, do we still have 409 Selkirk to just for the record? Because I think you had pushed that one since we didn't have someone show up.
You're correct.
Number 3.
Number 3, yeah.
Okay, I'll go off. Thank you.
Thank you
Okay,
very
thank
much.
you.
Bye-bye.
I can just present this one, Mr. Chair, just for the record.
Okay,
Let me just open up my file
sorry
here.
about that.
That's okay. I'm glad I caught it, otherwise I'd be called back. So it's actually a selfish reason why I'm catching these things.
So would
But I don't mind helping. It benefits all of us. Okay, so if we're ready to go, I'll just begin presentation on my last one and hopefully get us out of here by lunch. So the last file that we have to present, are we okay to go?
Sure.
Okay, so the last file that we have to present is file 26-248. The roll number is 1401-004-0000. The address is 409 Selkirk Avenue. This is a commercial mixed-use property, so we have two components to it. For the commercial component, we have 573,000, and for the residential component, we have 78,000, for a total assessed value of $651,000. Just very high-level notes here. One building, 3 premises associated. It's a 2-story building. Both the actual and effective year are listed as 1917. The land area is 4,752 square feet, and the leasable area is 4,040 square feet. On page 2, I have included the pad eye view image of the subject property, so we can see its orientation in the neighborhood. On page 3, I have included a pictometry overhead view of the subject property. Following that is I have a south-facing and a west-facing view of the subject property. And following that, I do have the Google Street View images of the subject property. We have received requests for income and expense information, so we're okay there. We don't have any sales history or any leases associated with the subject property. For the rent comparables, this rent comparables are from within the same market region, which would be market region 3. They're just under 4,000 square feet, and they are listed as like retail uses. And so we do have one older lease start date of 2008, but it is a 20-year lease. And then the other one's 2015 all the way up to 2024 for lease start dates. For areas, as I previously mentioned, all under 4,000 square feet. So we have 890 square feet at the lower end and approximately 1,500 square feet at the higher end. And then for the rents range from $18 or $17 at the lower end up to just under $30 at the higher end. For the residential component, the subject is listed as having one 2-bedroom unit, and we have it valued at $805.60 for that one unit per month. And then for the 5 comparables I have included, they are all from within the same market region. They have a little bit of a blend, but for the most part, they're a blend of 1 and 2 bedroom units. And they do have rents that range from, it looks to be 860 or 857 at the lower end to $1,082 at the higher end. For the first income stream, for the residential component, as previously mentioned, we have 1 suite at $805.60, which brings us to a total potential gross income of $9,667. And then from there, we do have the model parameters applied to give us a net operating income of $3,865. And then from there, we have a cap rate applied of 4.95% to give us our total residential value of $78,000. For the commercial component, we have 2 premises associated with the stream, a basement component for 1,265 square feet and a main floor retail space of 2,775 square feet. And we do have rents that range from $17.75 for the main floor and $4.74 for the basement. The total potential rent generated is $55,252. And the total area is 4,040 square feet, which gives us a blended rental rate of $13.68 per square foot. From there, we do have the model parameters of 5% vacancy, 3% expense, and $8 shortfall per square foot, which brings us to our net operating income of $49,298. And then from there, I have a cap rate applied model of 8.6%. which gives us a total assessed value for the commercial component of $573,000. Following that, I do have the income value summary for both streams that I just presented. So 78,000 for the residential and 573 for the commercial, for a total of $651,000. And then from there, I do have the cap rate information that we've already seen and the Municipal Assessment Act excerpts. And then following that is the information submitted for the 2024 income and expense mailer. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions, Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
And Ms. Delora? Thank you.
I have no questions either. Thank you.
And
Thank
Mr.
you.
Fontanello, thank you very much for everything. And
Thank you.
this now concludes our hearing for today. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, panel members. You guys have a good day.
You too.
Okay,
You too.
take care. Bye-bye.